Hello, this is Mark here at Gary's Guitars in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and I'm here to talk about the Squeeze. And I'm not talking about my favorite band from the 80s in England, the Squeeze, which is a great band. I'm talking about the retail Squeeze. So, I fully intended to make a video about this Gretsch Electromatic amp here. Lately I've been talking a lot about retail and being a small independent store and how, the struggles that might be involved in that. And it's interesting to me and it's fascinating to me, and I stay fascinated with it because that's how I survive. You have to watch, if you're going to swim with the sharks, you have to keep an eye out for the sharks. So, having said that, I will make a video about this beautiful amp, so stay tuned. But for today, what's on my mind as I'm driving on this rainy day to work is the retail Squeeze. And because I just got the news that another small independent store here in New Hampshire, not in a neighboring town, but near enough, about an hour and a half away, closed down. And suddenly, and then that got me thinking, why is this happening? And because you got to you got to be self-aware. You know what's going on. Are they coming for me next? So what is the why did this happen? And my summation is it's about the retail Squeeze. And so the Squeeze, it works like this. Margins in this business are much smaller than they used to be. 25 to 30% markup. So meaning, and when we talk about a markup, we talk about, because I was talking about this in another video and someone's like, you can't do math. We talk about the target price of $100. We talk about a 30% markup is $30. So 30%. So you don't, not what you paid for the thing and a percentage of that above that. When we talk about markup, we talk about the margin to the target price. So, used to be when Gary started the store, it was a 50% markup on nearly everything in that small mom and pop store kind of mentality, and that enabled stores to survive because because if you sold one guitar, you made money off that one guitar. If I sell one Fender, if I sell so if you sold a $200 guitar, you got to keep 100 of that money. You paid a little bit of shipping. I'll get into that in a little bit. But it was part of the business model. Those days are long gone. 40% is great. 30% is kind of, plus or minus is kind of normal. And it is shrinking even more as we speak. And you always got to try to get that third column. You got to get that best price from your suppliers. You got to stock up on a bunch of stuff. And that's how they want you to do it, to get their best pricing, because that's how the big stores do it. So we have that margins. You're selling as much stuff, but you're making half as much money doing it. And by making, I just mean grossing. Because expenses have gone up, and that's the other side of the Squeeze. What I believe, and I was talking to someone who familiar with this store that went out of business, I was like, what's the rent like? And they're like, I think it's $5,400 US dollars. Oh my God. It's a strip mall spot. Maybe they got a lot of square footage, but rents are crazy. So they're also the reason that small independent stores like this, when Gary had his first store, when he founded this store in 1989, the rent was $600 a month. It wasn't, so you sold a few $100, you made $100, $100, and you paid your rent. Paying that kind of rent, and so rents are expensive. The rent is too damn high. I don't know if you've heard of that, but, and I'm not going to just blame the landlord class, although, I'm actually a landlord. I don't own this space, but I own a small commercial building with a partner, and we rent to entrepreneurial people, and I think we're good landlords. But also, when you talk about retail space, you got to talk about the presence of private equity, because private equity kind of drives these big mall companies, and that kind of drives the costs, But it's also that situation. What can we get out of this person? What can we, how much of a squeeze can we put on the store? How much can we raise the rent to so they don't go out of business, but they give us most of their money? And, commercial rents should be going down, down, down. And they're not. Because there's also this weird kind of loophole where these giant corporations can leave things empty and kind of enjoy write-offs or whatever from it, or it's better off for them to leave things empty than to rent them for half as much. I'm not going to get too heavily into that, but it's just another aspect of the squeeze. The suppliers are asking for more money. The market is telling you this thing, Amazon's selling this thing for $50, you got to sell it for $50. The supplier's still selling their thing for $35. And then on the other side, I mentioned shipping earlier. Shipping has gotten really expensive. Shipping used to be nothing. It used to be a rounding error. So Gary, 30 years ago would order a guitar, and a guitar would show up and the shipping would be $10 because guitar is mostly air. An acoustic guitar is empty. And so the box of guitar comes in, might weigh 12 pounds or something. I can't remember, but for something that size, pretty light. But they do volume shipping now instead of shipping by weight, and that made all the shipping costs double, triple. And suppliers sometimes used to be throw in free shipping. Yeah, we'll throw in free shipping because the suppliers will get these fabulous shipping discounts anyways that we don't get as regular retail buyers of shipping services. And it was a nice thing to do. And like I said, it's a rounding error. Not anymore. Shipping things is expensive, and that figures into the bottom line. The credit card company wants 3%, and then to get it shipped here, I'll pay maybe 6 to 12% of its retail value just in getting something. So if I buy something from KMC, one of those kind of supply places that supplies smaller guitar retailers, I think they're like, great news, we got flat rate shipping for you at 9%. Well, 9% of the thing I buy and that I buy for $60 and I sell for $100, it's not really 9%. It's kind of more of my bottom line because I'm paying the 9% on what I pay for it, not what I sell it for. Anyway, shipping is crazy. So this other aspect. So you got the market trying to force you to sell things cheaper. You got your services. Gas is expensive. To heat your unit, and you have a lot of commercial retail pushing hard on keeping those rents high. And then it all just comes down to one day someone wakes up and says, that's it, I'm not doing this anymore. So, good news is, I'm not to that point yet. Once in a while, about once a month, someone does a boneheaded thing around here, and I throw up my hands and I say, why do I even do this? Because I'm the last person to get paid. Everyone else gets paid off the top, and then I get what's left over. And when something happens that seems to be like, like that I take a hit, or I see like, well, that's coming out of my pay. I go, why exactly do I do this? Because it's not wicked profitable, and I have other businesses like I alluded to, but I love music and I love guitar, and so I'm staying in it for, like I said, I'm holding on, and luckily the business model that Gary kind of set forth, which I modified highly, but the things that I kept from Gary's, kind of mom and pop, which is a term I don't like, because we're not a mom and pop because my wife doesn't care about guitars and never comes to the store. So it's a pop. But the independent guitar store, the things I kept from his business was be ready to sort of weather the storms. And this store's weathered storms for 30-something years, 35 now. And so we are, when times get tough, we can hang out. We can make it work. So thanks for joining him on that. I promise I'm going to talk about the Scratch Amp soon, and I might be wearing the same shirt because I might just make the video now. But thanks for watching. Check out all the videos on YouTube, and you can find us on Instagram and Facebook, and we'll talk to you soon.